Alright, so in the last lecture we have learned how to create circular single linked list, and we have seen how it works in practice. So in this video we are going to see how insertion of a node works in case of circular single linked list. Here again we have three cases for insertion of a new node to the circular single linked list. Now the first case is we can insert a node at the beginning of this circular single linked list, and the second case is we need to insert a node at a specified location, so for example between 2 and 3. And the third case is we need to insert a node at the end of this circular single linked list, which is after node 4 over here. Now we are going to look at these cases one by one and see how the logic is working behind the scene. So the first one is inserting a node at the beginning of single linked list. Now when we are inserting a node at the beginning of circular single linked list, the first thing that we are going to do, we need to create a node. So based on node class, we are going to create a node and we will assign a value to it. So in this case, the value is 6 and the physical location of this node in the memory is 444. Now the next thing that we are going to do, as we are inserting this node to the beginning of this circular single linked list, so we need to update the next reference of this node, which will be referenced to first node. Now in this case, first node's physical location is 001, so we are going to update the next reference of this node, newly created node, to this 001 over here. And with this, a link between this newly created node and with node 1 is created. Now the next step is head reference has to point to this node over here. So we are going to update the head reference to point to physical location of this node over here. So by doing so, we are updating head reference to 444 and it creates a link between head and new node over here. And at the same time, when we are updating the reference of head to this newly created node, the reference between head and node 1 over here gets deleted. So with this, we have created a link between head and this new node over here. Till now, the steps are same as in case of single linked list. But here we have to perform an extra step, which is last node has to point to this newly created node over here, because in this case, this newly created node is now first node, so we know that in case of circular single linked list, last node has to point to this node over here. Now in this case, you see that last node is pointing to second node over here, which is node 1. Now we have to update last node to 444, which is physical location of new node, and it has to point to this node over here. Now if you update it to 444, it's going to create a link between this last node, which is node 4, with the new node over here. And at the same time, when we are updating the next reference of node 4, the link between node 4 and node 1 will be deleted. And with this, we have successfully inserted an element at the beginning of circular single linked list. So the steps are same as with single linked list, but here we are performing an additional step in which we are setting the last node's reference to point to this newly created node over here. Now let's continue to the next case. So in the next case, we are inserting a node at a specified location in circular single linked list. So here also the first thing that we are going to do, we have to create a node. So we are creating a node and assigning value to it. So here again we have a 6 value in our new node and the physical location of our node is 444. Now the first thing that we are going to do, we need to find out the location in which that we are going to insert this node. So for example, in this case, we want to insert it between 2 and 3, node 2 and node 3. So in this case, we are going to start from the first node, loop until the node 2. So from first node, if we loop, we are reaching in one step to the node 2. Then we are going to update the node 2's next reference to point to this newly created node over here. Now you see that node 2's next reference now pointing to node 3, which is 222, which is physical location of node 3. Now in this case, we have to update it to point to 444, which is physical location of newly created node over here. Now if you update it, it's going to create a link between this node 2 and this new node. Then at the same time, a link between node 2 and node 3 gets deleted. Then the next step is we have to update the next reference of this newly created node to point to node 3. And we know that node 3's physical location is 222, so we are going to update this newly created node's next reference to point to 222, and with this is going to create a link between new node and node 3 over here. And with this, we have successfully inserted a node between node 2 and node 3, and this node is new node over here. So basically, when we are inserting a node at a specified location in case of circle single linked list, the steps are same as in case of single linked list. So here an additional step is not required. There also we have looped until to the location in which we are going to insert a node. Then we have updated the references of this node to create a link between them. So these steps are similar with the single linked list. Now we are going to continue to the next case in which we have to insert a node at the end of circle single linked list. Now in this case, one more time, the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to create a node with the help of node class. So here node value is 7 and physical location of this new node is 555. Now the next thing that we are going to do, as we are inserting this node at the end of this circle single linked list, so we have to update this last node's reference to point to this node over here. Now you see that last node reference to the first node over here, so we are going to update the last node's next reference with 555, and it's going to create a link between this node 4 and new node over here. So then the next step is tail has to point to last node. So in this case, new node will be last node, so we are going to update the tail's reference to point to this node over here. So as you see, tail's reference changed to 555, and with this, a link between tail and node 4 will be deleted. Then we have to update the next reference of this node over here. So the next reference of this node will be updated to point to first node. So the first node's physical location is 001. So this means that we are going to update this next reference to point to 001, and then it's going to create a link between new node and node 1 over here. And at the same time, a link between the node 4 and node 1 will be deleted. So with this, we have successfully inserted an element at the end of circular single linked list. Now as you see, here also the steps are same with the single linked list, but in this case we are performing an additional step in which we are updating the next reference of this new node to point to the first node. So with this extra step, we are inserting a node at the end of circle single linked list. So hopefully with these three cases, you have understood how can we insert a node in circle single linked list. Now in the next lecture, we are going to look at how the algorithm of insertion in circle single linked list looks like. So see you in the next lecture.